What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Essence of Lex. Thank you for joining me again on my Bloom journey. And if you clicked on this video, it's because you're interested in my review and my recap of Sister Season 5, Episode 7, called Ego Trip. Now, the episode was called Ego Trip, but I'm changing the name to Fatima is One of One. Yes, my love for Fatima has went to new heights after this episode. And of course, I'll get into more and more why I've changed the name of the episode and why my love for Fatima has grown even more, which I thought was impossible, but it has. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So episode 6, we left out with Fatima popping up at Karen's house. So that's what we're going to start off in this review and this recap. So last episode, Karen said that this is not a bash letter before she started to read Zach's letter, and then Fatima came. Karen's attitude shifted when Fatima popped up. It really did. You can tell that she got angrier and irritated, for lack of better words, when Fatima came through the door. Fatima being there, put Zach up about 1,000 points. Fatima's presence put Zach ahead. Before Fatima got there, it kind of was like a 3 versus 1 situation type thing. And I don't say that to say that I don't think that's what Miss Lisa, was trying to do, but it was coming off as a 3 versus 1 type thing. He definitely needed Fatima to be there. So her presence alone, before she even said anything, her presence alone, I think, even the playing field. Because, Fatima can hold her own. So as opposed to a 3 versus 1, now we might be 5 versus 3 or even more, because Fatima got them together. She really did. Zach was stunned that she popped up, right? And he said, "So I thought you wasn't coming." She said, "I wasn't, but I changed my mind." So then Karen says with attitude, "So why did you come? Why did you?" So before Fatima popped off, Zach kind of put his hand out there to kind of, you know what he do when he's trying to calm her down or to prevent her from popping off, because Zach did that. And Fatima said, "Well, I thought it was a good idea." And Miss Lisa agreed. She said, "I too agree that is a good idea." And Zach said, "Am I the only one that don't think this is a good idea?" And I'm sitting there watching him like, "Zach, you need it. You need her there. So cut it. It's a good idea for her to be there." And we're going to get into more of that as I continue with the recap. Fatima sat next to Zach, right? And she asked him, "So you're not going to kiss me?" So they kissed, right? And that pissed Karen off even more. Continuing on, Miss Lisa, just tells Fatima, what's the task at hand here? Like, why is everybody here? And Miss Lisa explains to Fatima how it would be a good idea for Karen to write letters to each one of them, explaining how she feels and all of that, to kind of put her on the path to healing, we hope. And Fatima was understanding. Fatima was saying that she agreed. And Fatima even said something like, so she doesn't forget anything that she has to say, so it's best to write it down. Like, Fatima was all on board and agreeing with Miss Lisa about these letters, right? And that was making Karen matter. Fatima being understanding was making Karen matter. Of course, Fatima said, "Okay, well, I have a letter of my own." And Zach was like, "What?" Zach was getting stunned. And I was like, shit, I'm glad she did have a letter, because Zach didn't have no letter. Zach didn't have a letter. Zach should have had a letter, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So Fatima said, "Is Karen the only one that's allowed to speak?" So Miss Lisa said, "Well, everybody will have their chance to go. But we're going to let Karen go first, because I think that she's the one that is, having the hardest time." Fatima came in there, calm, cool, and collected. She didn't come in there on no rah-rah stuff. Like, she came in, spoke to everybody, even spoke to Karen. Like, she came in there a little bit too respectful for me, but she came in there very respectful and just trying to put an end to this and trying to be the adult that she is. But unfortunately, when you are the adult in a situation and Karen is being childish, at this point is being childish as well, you can't really resolve anything. But Karen, the spotlight is on Karen. Everybody's waiting for this letter that she wrote Zach, right? As Fatima, is there a reason you looking at me like that? And I'm just like, she is provoking Fatima. She is provoking Fatima. She is trying to provoke Fatima, and it's not working. I'm gonna give a quick recap of Karen's letter because, you know, I don't think she said anything different. It's the same BS she's been saying for season. It's kind of sort of the same thing that she mentioned in Aaron's letter. Like, all of it's the same, and putting the blame all on Zach and not taking accountability for her actions and her decisions. The first thing I want to mention from this letter is from when she started off. She started mentioning something about butterflies and meeting him on the train. And that threw me for a loop immediately because I thought Danny introduced Karen to Zach. That's how I'm remembering it. And that's kind of been what has been implied for seasons, and in several episodes, even with Danny and Zach was talking, and Zach mentioning to her that he wished that she would have took him serious and not pushed him off onto her friend. So yeah, I'm pretty much 100% certain that it has been implied for a while that Danny introduced Karen to Zach. That's why Danny and Zach have such a good relationship, because I think that Danny knew Zach first. That's how I'm remembering it, and I know I'm not wrong on that. This meeting on the train and these butterflies and all that confused the fuck out of me. It really did. It confused me, and I tried to let it I tried to let it go the first time I watched it, but when I watched it back again, I was like, yeah, I'm still confused on this butterflies and this train. But moving on, nonetheless, that's how the letter started out. So basically in this letter, she called this man to be. She said being with him is like a crushing weight. She brought up that 3 years wasted BS. She brought up how he ruined everything for her. She brought up, you know, how much she spent so much of her earned money on him, and yada, yada, yada. The same thing that she's been saying for 3 seasons. Nothing in this letter is no different than what we've been hearing for seasons. She went on to, you know, she knows this baby is his and she wanted to be. She even said something like, as much as I don't want you, I still want you. She said something about she don't know how to actually let a good man love her. She doesn't know what a healthy relationship look like. So when she said that, Zach said this and pointed to him and Fatima. Zach and Fatima's relationship is definitely a whole lot healthier than the relationship he had with Karen. So it was petty, but very much so accurate. That's Karen's letter, you know, overall, a quick review and recap. And this is what I want to say to Karen's letter. First off, I want to make this point. Karen is mid-30s, I believe. I think all of them are kind of like in their mid-30s on sisters. And she's only been with Zach for 3 years. She's been stressing this 3-year stuff since the beginning. So she's been with Zach for 3 years. So mid-30s, we're going to push her down to about 30 years old. There's 30 years that has happened before she has met Zach. So there's a lot of things that I'm interested to know what has happened before Zach. Because these 3 years that she keeps stressing, what has happened before Zach? You not knowing what a healthy relationship look like is not on Zach, number one. You know, you can't put that on Zach because you are mid-30s and you've only have been, you know, with him and involved with him for 3 years. You can't put that on Zach. You really can't. What has happened to you before Zach? You know what I'm saying? Then she even mentioned in the letter how, you know, this is supposed to be the happiest time of her life, but she can't truly be happy because it's not what it's supposed to look like. Karen, newsflash, that's life. That's life for everybody. Most part, a lot of shit happens in everybody's life where it's not what it's supposed to look like, or not what we envisioned, or not what we thought we wanted, or not what we thought we needed. Like, that's life for everybody. This is the situation. Once you look at it for what it is and not what you thought it should be and what it's supposed to be, then you'll be on the path to healing and things will get better for you. But until you are able to, you know, face reality and not this picture perfect idea of how this was supposed to go in your head, you'll be on the path to healing. Later, you know, Zach loses it. Like, he totally loses it. Started saying how, you know, he hated how he couldn't provide, and he told her that. He starts mentioning, like, he did give her, I think he said 75,000 back in this episode, but actually in total I think it was 77,000. We're going to be exact. He gave her 77,000 back, 5,000 at first, and then gave her a $72,000 check. Then Zach said, you're mentioning all the bad times and you're not even bringing up the good times that we had together, which, you know, is a valid point, because 3 years that you keep stressing, it can't be all bad. It really can't be. Because if you have been with this man for 3 years and you don't think, you know, nothing is good about him, or nothing good has came from this or anything like that, then that's on you. That's on you, because Karen made the decision to stay and take him back and all of that. That's on Karen. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she need to do this exercise. Maybe she need to write a list of all of the good things and all of the bad things when it came to her and Zach relationship. And from Karen's perspective, it was all bad. So she need to let it go. Maybe she need to do this exercise that Andy and Gary did. Maybe we should suggest that to her. If I'm not mistaken, I think Danny even mentioned that to her. Karen says 75,000 is not enough. Then Zach mentioned something about Zach mentioned something about how things have been with every woman in his life, mentioning even his mom. And then Karen said something like, I wonder why. Fatima death stare that she gave Karen in that moment when she said, I wonder why. I thought Fatima was finna lose it. This man is pouring his heart out and venting and expressing his feelings, which we don't allow men to do, because we consider it weak. But I don't think that they're weak because they're vulnerable and expressing their feelings. I think more men should be vulnerable and express their feelings. But this man is expressing his feelings, and you come back with, I wonder why, especially about his mom. Yeah. If that was me, I don't think I would have been able to keep my cool any longer. I don't think so. So Fatima calmed Zach down, right? And she basically just got him to say, like, can we listen? Like, can we listen and just let her talk? And then Zach was like, is it that you want me to listen, or is it that you want to hear? And at that moment, I knew that Zach was, I think that he was more concerned about Fatima hearing this stuff from Karen. I think he was more concerned about Fatima, you know, changing the way that she see him and the way that she view him. And maybe even he was scared that maybe Fatima would start talking to him the way that Karen did and every other woman in his life. Maybe he was scared that, you know, maybe he was scared that Fatima would stop, you know, speaking life into him. But I think that at a certain point, it wasn't even about Karen's viewpoint on their relationship and what she had to say. At a certain point, I think he didn't want Fatima to hear this stuff from her. Let's go into Aaron's time and Aaron having the floor, which I think he said what he had to say, you know, when Karen read his letter, why he was allowed the floor again. I don't know, but he was allowed the floor again to say what he wanted to say. Aaron said that, you know, he's not here to compete with Zach. And then Zach says back, because you can't. I'm gonna get into Zach in a minute. But continuing on with Aaron says that, you know, he understands and basically he still wants to try and he still wants to be the one to show Karen a normal and healthy relationship. And I was saying to myself, his marriage didn't sound too normal and healthy to me, but I digress. And Zach brings up the marriage to Aaron and say, didn't your wife, you know, kill herself in Karen's salon? And then everybody, you know, was like, whoa, that's too far type thing. And my thing with that is this, you know, and I was partly in agreeing with Zach about this because, You know, this whole little letter reading has been a bash session for Zach. So everybody can sit here and we can listen to how Zach did this and how Zach did that. Everybody putting the blame on Zach. But as soon as Zach mentions Aaron stuff, oh, he done went too far. I don't agree with that. Basically, y'all can come for Zach, but he can't come for y'all. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. So moving along into Zach. Now, Zach was given the floor to talk and to say whatever he wanted to say. But he didn't have anything to say. He was ready to go at this point. He was supposed to be handling it. Remember, that's what he told Fatima. He was going to handle it. He was going to put an end to it. Zach didn't handle nothing. Zach did not handle nothing. And I was honestly disappointed in Zach in this episode. And I'm the type of person where y'all know I love Zach and Fatima individually and as a couple. But, you know, I'm going to always hold them both accountable when it's time, when necessary. You know, so I was quite disappointed that Zach didn't handle anything. For this episode aired, I tweeted and I said that, you know, Zach and Fatima need to speak their piece. This should not be a letter reading without both of them saying what's on their mind, especially Zach. I think that this is a situation that Zach definitely should have been more of the one to handle. Speaking from Fatima's, you know, viewpoint, also said that, you know, Fatima, we don't care because Karen is Andy's best friend. We don't care because you sympathize with her a little. We don't care, you know, about none of it really. We don't really care. At this point, you know, we fed up, you fed up. Like, we don't really care about none of that. Like, handle it. And Fatima handled it. Fatima handled it. So, but let me go back to Zach really quickly. Although I understand how Zach was feeling in that situation, listening to Karen tear him down again, but not privately at this point, you know, in front of her mom, in front of this man that she's dating, in front of his woman. So I empathize with him on that. But also, you know, like I said, a little disappointed because he had the floor to speak. He had the floor to handle. He had the floor to handle what he said he was going to handle and put an end to it and put a stop to it. He did not do what he came to do. And I understand, you know, his emotions probably got the best of him and he kind of was just over it. Decided to say he did not handle anything. He didn't handle anything. If Fatima hadn't shown up, you know, who knows where this would have went. From my viewpoint, this doesn't look good for Zach, you know, to Fatima. Not anything to do with what Karen said in, you know, in the letter or whatever. Nothing like that. This doesn't look good, you know, because Zach, you have been telling, you know, Fatima that you have told Karen is over. You have told her all of this. You have set shit straight. This has been his, you know, stance for a while. And here, Fatima is here and is seeing you guys interact, and you have not once said anything that you said that you have been saying to Karen, to Fatima. Do that make sense to y'all? Do y'all get that? Let me know down below in the comments. Like, his stance has always been, he has set her straight. He has told her that it was over. He has told her, you know, that they are done and that Fatima is one-on-one. And of course, you know, Fatima has been there for one of the talks where he told her that it was over and Fatima is one-on-one. Okay, I get that. But in this moment, this was Zach's opportunity to tell Karen again, while Fatima is sitting right there, that this is over. Stop disrespecting my woman. This is my child. I'm going to be there for my child. But this has to end. Like, this was his moment to say something. And to say whatever it is he kept telling Fatima he was saying. But from Fatima's perspective, you know, and if she's looking at it like, you didn't say nothing. You didn't handle nothing. If I didn't come, how would this have ended? You know, and I know I'm probably talking in circles, but ultimately Zach did not do what he said he was going to do, and he did not handle anything. But, you know, I do empathize with him. So Moving on to Fatima and Miss Fatima Wilson handling this. Fatima got some things off her chest, respectfully. Just showed her maturity as a woman. Just showed grown woman things. You know, even though she's been disrespected so many times from Karen, I guess she decided not to come back at her with disrespect, which I commend. I really do commend. I don't know if I mentioned this before or not. I think I have, but just in case I haven't, I'm not a confrontational person. I'm not a confrontational person at all. For me to agree for Fatima to pop up at Karen's house and to speak her mind and to just put it all on the table and say whatever she wants to say, fight even if necessary, and for me to be on board with that kind of lets me know that this is long overdue and that Fatima has been disrespected for way too long, and it's time for the gloves to come off. For a non-confrontational person to agree to that, situation has to be bad. It has to be. A non-confrontational person is agreeing with being in confrontation. It has to be bad. It has to be bad. Well, let's get into Fatima's letter. Let's get into what Fatima had to say. And what's crazy is she mentioned the most important part to me, starting out, which is the baby. You know, she said that if this is Zach's baby, she's never going to do anything to harm her child, which is the most important thing to me. This child that is growing in Karen, you know, don't have anything to do with this, like Fatima has stated before. And that you want to know that your child would be in, you know, good hands. And Fatima has said this before, but she said it again while Miss Lisa was sitting there, that if this is Zach's baby, she's not going to harm her child. And she said, you know, she understands that she still loves Zach, but she wants her to know that her and Zach is over. So she said the popping up at the house, the waiting for him, all of that has to stop. Fatima has even mentioned that she's been very respectful, which she has, a little bit too much respectful for me. Too much respectful for me. Yeah, I wanted Fatima to let loose seasons ago on Karen, but I digress. That's not how it was written. But then she went into, you know, Karen calling her the B word. And, you know, pretty much it sums up to basically, if you call me another B, it's war. That's pretty much all it comes up to it. You know, Fatima explained to her that, you know, she understands how the B word is used as a term of endearment at times, but it's only a term of endearment when it's with her friends or that somebody that's in her group of circle. And if you're not one or the other, then we're not friends, and it's a call to war. So basically, Karen, if you call Fatima out her name again, it's war, rightfully so. So the next time you step at Fatima, I hope there's no next time. I really do hope there's no next time. So I'm gonna leave it at that. And what's eating away at Karen is that her mom, Miss Lisa, was like, well, that's not right, Karen. You owe her an apology. Do you think Karen apologized? Nope, she didn't. At this point, Karen has a temper tantrum. That's really what it is. Karen has a temper tantrum and she wants everybody out of her house. So when that happened, I said, well, Karen, who leaves now when someone says something they don't want to hear? Y'all remember the last episode, she told Miss Lisa that Zach leaves when somebody is saying something he don't want to hear? Well, Karen, you leaving now because your mom is telling you right. Fatima is telling you right. But you can't handle it, so you left. Fatima brings up the fertility cycle and how you can calculate and figure out the date of conception. And basically, they can't really do that because Zach and Aaron slept with Karen in the same week type thing. So basically now Karen needs to get an ultrasound so they can figure out the date of conception. Fatima brings that up as a way to tell Miss Lisa so Miss Lisa can mention it to Karen. That's that. They're leaving or whatever, and Fatima tell Miss Lisa that Karen is lucky to have her, still respectful, you know. So they leave or whatever, and Aaron tell Fatima bye, and Zach say, don't do that, don't you do that. Zach was Fatima hype man. for lack of better words. You know, while Fatima was speaking her mind or whatever, he over there saying facts and and just you had your opportunity to speak, you didn't say anything. So now at this point, you know, he was Fatima hype man. That's the only way I can explain that situation. I think that, you know, this thing with him and Aaron, and maybe this is probably why the episode was called Ego Trip. I'm not sure, but I understand that he doesn't like Aaron. I understand that, you know, he got stabbed because of Aaron BS. I understand that. So part of that is the reason that Zach acts the way that he acts when it comes to Aaron. But also, I think it has a lot to do with Zach's ego as well. You know, watching that scene play out twice and seeing that, I think part of it too is Zach's ego. But that's just what I think. What y'all think? Do y'all think that more or less that is Zach's ego when it comes to Aaron, or is it more so that he just don't like Aaron and that he got stabbed because of Aaron BS? So moving along, and this is why, you know, reason number 1050 why Fatima is one of one. Reason number 1050 why I'm changing this episode from Ego Trip to Fatima is 101. Zach and Fatima, they're at home in the bed and they have a good conversation. Now, Fatima tried to get Zach to understand that, you know, relationships are investments. Basically, was just telling him she understand where Karen is coming from. She was trying to get Zach to understand, because from Zach's perspective, he only think that, you know, it was about the money, and Fatima broke it down for him. Zach asked Fatima, did she believe Karen? And she said, yes, I do. So then Zach responds with, so now you think I ain't shit too, huh? And Fatima told him, no, Zach, I think you are the shit. I think you are the shit. And man, it's crazy because Zach was confused as fuck. Zach is hearing that Fatima believes Karen, but for her to still say that he's the shit, he's ultimately is confused. You know, she had to break it down for him. So she basically said that, you know, she believed that he was challenging and that he cheated and that she paid for everything. I think this was important for Zach to hear that she's not taking Karen's side. She's not. I think it was important for Zach to hear this this convo about relationships being an investment. And I think it was important for Zach to understand that, you know, Fatima understood where Karen was coming from, but she was not on Karen's side. And I think it was important for Zach to understand that, you know, because like I said earlier, he was kind of on the fence because he didn't want Fatima to hear all of this stuff that Karen was saying. Overall, I don't think anything Karen said is new to Fatima. I really don't, because Zach, you started off from the jump when you met Fatima. You know, you told her that, you know, she didn't speak power into you and she had a way of making you feel like shit. You told her that you cheated. You told her she knows that you was in jail and that you were struggling. Like, she knows all of this. Nothing Karen said overall was anything new to Fatima. At this point, Fatima had already knew all that. The only thing I think Fatima saw was real live action of her, you know, speaking down on you. I think she saw that live and in action, but other than that, I don't think anything that Karen said was new to Fatima. So it did not taint, you know, her opinion of Zach. And I think it was great that, you know, he was able to see that and understand that. So from that scene, you know, is the reason why Fatima is 101. Like, I tweeted, I want me a Fatima. I really do. I want me a Fatima. Like, she still went home and told that man he was the shit. Fatima heard everything, all of this trash and all of this bad things that Karen had to say. From Karen's perspective now, she heard all of this and still went home and told him he was the shit. Fatima is one of one. Fatima is one of one. And I really hope Zach don't fumble her, which I don't think he will. He's, like he said before, he's never had a woman like her. So I don't think he's going to fumble her. Vice versa. I don't want Fatima to fumble Zach either. We just going to, Fatima is that girl. Fatima is that girl, and she's one of one. She done made me, my love for her has reached new heights. And even though I wanted her to respond disrespectfully because that's how Karen was coming at her, I think it made Karen matter and made her not like her even more, how she handled this situation. And I'm all for it. So Zach asked Fatima, so is it money that you're looking for? Because she said something about sometimes money is, the return that some people is looking when it comes to relationship. I was screaming at the TV like, Zach, come on. Why would you even ask that? Why would that be a question even in your mind? You pulled this stallion on a bike. You pulled Fatima on a bike. And you ask, is money what she want? No, that's not what she want. She wants you, Zach. And it has nothing to do with you having money. Fatima was gone and in love before you hit on that stock. So the last thing that happened in that scene is that Zach asked Fatima about how she know about the whole pregnancy calculation thing and all that. And she basically changed the subject. A lot of people think that she should have told Zach about the abortion. I disagree for several reasons. One, I don't think that, she's ready to talk about it. Two, I don't think that's a sister's moment, Even though they are even though they are doing crossover other shows, I don't think that conversation should happen on Sisters. I definitely think that it is a conversation that should happen on Zatima. No, it just wasn't the right time, I don't think. But y'all let me know what y'all think down below. Do y'all think that that was the perfect moment for Fatima to tell Zach about her abortion within or what? And that's for people who have seen Zatima. If you have not seen Zatima, I'm sorry that I gave a spoiler alert, but you should definitely go screen Zatima on BET+. What else happened in this episode? Gary and Hayden, Dumb and Dumber as I like to call them. Gary and Hayden is at a bar and they are talking and they're having a conversation or whatever about their brilliant plan to take over the law firm. And this friendship that Gary and Hayden have, I don't think it's going to last long. Gary is going to get tired of Hayden, or when Hayden becomes no more useful to him, he's definitely going to drop him. And I don't blame him. And Hayden is delusional. We know at this point. Hayden tell Gary that, Andy is scared, how all of a sudden, we was suing her, but now she's all lovey-dovey on you. I was just shaking my head looking at him like he is so stupid and so delusional. First of all, the lawsuit was stupid to begin with. That wouldn't even upheld in court. Two, Gary called Andy. After that whole little conversation in the office that they had about dropping the lawsuit and her returning and stuff, Gary called Andy. Gary came over to Andy. Andy didn't call him. So he thinks Andy is playing him. So we'll see. Gary did go over to Andy's house and Andy found something in his pocket, in his jacket, and I'm assuming it's Gary and Hayden's plan to take over the law firm because Andy reads it a little bit and hurries up and put it back in his pocket. But it doesn't say exactly what she sees or what's exactly in the or what exactly the papers say. So we can only assume that it's Gary and Hayden's plan to take over the law firm. Moving on to Karen and Miss Lisa. They have a conversation after everybody has left the reading or whatever. And the only thing from that conversation is that Miss Lisa mentions that Aaron is basically too good to be true. And I've been saying that for a while. I've been saying that we don't exactly know a lot about Aaron. And I've been saying that there's something about him that's a little off. And like Fatima likes to do, I can't put my finger on it, but definitely he's coming off as too good to be true. And messing with Tyler Perry is he's going to be too good to be true. Okay, let's get into how the episode 7 ended. This I mentioned a few episodes ago that Tyler Perry is, bringing a lot of issues to the forefront, and even though it's sensitive and uncomfortable, it's conversations that need to be had, and this situation that happened with Danny. So Danny brings home the guy that she met at the airport with the baby mama. They had went to have drinks, and now they're back at her place or whatever, and they are having sex, I guess. And it's not pleasing for Danny. Danny doesn't like it at all. Like, even in the midst of them, whatever it was he was doing, she stopped and said that she had to, I think she said she had a phone call or whatever. So she called Andy, right? And Andy mentions to her that, she can't keep going home with these strays, and basically just to call Preston, because that's obviously what needs to happen. That's obvious what's on her mind, and that she really needs to talk to Preston, but she's trying to avoid it. So that's how that conversation went with Andy. Danny went back out, to her bedroom, and I think they attempt to continue whatever it was they was doing, but then Danny was like, she can't do it. He tells him to go and basically say the whole "it's not you, it's me" spiel. He called Danny a B. Danny responds with, he's bad at sex and that his manhood is small. And he slapped her, and that's how the episode ended. And I've been saying this since he popped up on the scene, that something was not right with this dude. It was, I don't know what it was, but he's been giving me very much cringe and creepy vibes from the jump. I'm going to say this, and this is going to be the only thing that I say about this whole issue with Danny. I saw some conversations online. Like I said, Tyler Perry is bringing the discussions up. I saw some conversation online that people were kind of sort of blaming this happening because of Danny bringing home strays and all of that. Although I don't disagree with Danny needs to be mindful of who she lets in her home and who she let, know where she lays her head at night. I agree with that, to an extent, but that doesn't have anything to do with the conversation at hand. It really doesn't. I want people to understand is that the location doesn't matter. The location does not matter. The outcome still would have been the same. He slapped her like that was not his first time ever hitting a woman, number one. Number two, you can't blame the victim for the actions of the abuser. I don't understand that at all. Whoever said that, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but whoever said that, this is Danny's fault because she brought him home, that's basically blaming the victim for the abuser abusing them. So many ways that's blaming the victim. And we shouldn't blame the victim. We shouldn't. You are not to blame for their actions and their assault. See what happens in the next episode. Review, and that's my recap of episode 7. Make sure y'all stay tuned for my review and recap of episode 8.